Do you know what is a grave robbery? Do you know who is a grave robber? A robbery actually is a robbery. No difference. What is the dead could reveal their secrets? What would we hear? Imagine burying a loved one only to discover days later that their grave has been disturbed, their body stripped of its burial clothes, and their final resting place violated. Wow! Who would committed such a crime? And more importantly, why? Grave robbery is one of history's darkest and most disturbing crimes, but it wasn't always driven by greed and wealth. Some did it for gold and jewelry, others for science. More important, science. Medical uses, medical researchers, and some for reasons far more terrifying. For centuries, human remains weren't just stolen for profit, but for sacred rituals, magical ceremonies, and even medical treatments. In ancient Egypt, tomb raiders risked everything to steal the treasures meant for the afterlife. In 19th century, fresh crops were a valuable commodity. Feeding the demand for medical research, and in underground cults, bone and skulls were believed to hold mystical powers. Used in voodoo, black magic, and shadowy rites. But sometimes reality is stronger than any legend. In 19th century Utah, a horrifying truth surfaced, one that shook an entire community. A man wasn't just robbing grave. He was taking something far more personal and disturbing from the dead. And when the truth came to light, the punishment he received was just as mysterious as his crimes. In the name of God. Jean-Baptiste, the grave robber of 19th century Utah, lived in the shadows until the truth of his crimes was revealed in 1862. His horrifying secret came to light when the body of an outlaw named Manory Clausen was exhumed, only to reveal something dreadful. The corpse lay in its coffin, complete strip of clothing. This strange discovery compelled the authorities to launch an investigation, and eventually they traced the trail to Jean-Baptiste. He was arrested for stealing from the dead, and as a ruthless punishment was exiled to Fremont Island in the Great Salt Lake, a remote place with no way back. But his fate after that remained shrouded in mystery. Did he manage to escape, or did he perish on that desert about the early life of Jean-Baptiste hidden in the shadows forever? U.S. Census list is little is known about the early life of Jean-Baptiste, and some dark whispers claim he was born in Venice, Italy. Doubt this has never been confirmed. In the mid-1850s, he crossed the ocean to America and spent a brief, shadowy time in Australia during the gold rush. In the chaos of greed and desperation, he encountered missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and strangely converted to their faith. He later donated land of a chapel, a place where others would gather, unknowingly close to his darker instincts. By 1859, Jean-Baptiste had settled in Salt Lake City, taking a job as a grave digger, a role that would soon lead him down a far darker path. In January of 1862, a police officer named Henry Hess paid for burial clothes and oversaw the burial of the outlaw Manory Clausen. But when Clausen's body was later exhumed by his brother George, a chilling discovery was made. The body was completely stripped of its burial clothes, sparking suspicions of a grave robbery. As aligned with the cemetery sexton, J.C. Little, began their investigation, leading him to Jean-Baptiste's home. What they found there was beyond disturbing. Boxes filled with stolen burial clothes and other items, including about 60 pairs of children's shoes, a dozen pairs of mom shoes, funeral shirts, and infant clothing. When Baptiste was confronted with the evidence, he first denied everything, but the weight of the evidence forced him to confess. To ensure that no stone was left unturned, Hess turned to probate judge Elias Smith, who ordered throughout who was ordered a true search of Baptiste's home, What they uncovered revealed a disturbing truth. Baptiste had been robbing graves for over 3 years, with his victims mostly being women and children. Some estimates place the number of graves he had raided at around 300. Baptiste also admitted to committing similar crimes while he had lived in Australia. The public's outrage over Jean-Baptiste's horrific crimes was too intense. The city officials decided against executing him, opting instead to exile him. Brigham Young, the president of the Church of Justice of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, arrest the people, assuring them that the thieves of burial clothes would not interfere with resurrection. He stated that the dead would rise in their glory regardless of what had been stolen. He even suggests that families could reclaim their loved ones' remains if they wished. Through his stress that it wasn't necessary at all. Fearing the worst of an angry mob, city officials secretly transported Baptiste under over of night and Antelope Island. But concern over the shallow waters surrounding the island that could allow Baptiste to escape led them to relocate him to Vermont Island, a much more remote and isolated place in the Great Salt Lake. 3 weeks after exile, cattle headers who visited Fremont Island discovered troubling signs. Baptiste had likely killed a heifer, possible for food or litter. Even more eerie, the roof and side of cabin on the island had been dismantled, likely in an attempt to build a raft. Despite exhaustive searches, Jean-Baptiste was never seen again. Then, in March 1893, hunters near Jordan River discovered a skeleton, its legs shackled with an iron chain. Although some speculated it might be Baptiste's remains, police confirmed that he had not been shackled during his exile, leaving the identity of the shackled unresolved, and the mystery of Jean-Baptiste's fate forever lingering in the unknown. The story of Jean-Baptiste still captivates people to this day, primarily due to the eerie mystery surrounding his disappearance. In 2011, his life was brought to the screen in the film Redemption for Robbing the Desk, directed by Tom Russell, a professor at Brigham Young University. The film dramatized Baptiste's crime trial and exile, weaving in fictionalized details such as the claim that he was tattooed before being banished. Despite the functional elements, the film ignited interest in his dark legacy, leaving a haunting mark on history. The film reignited interest in his dark legacy, leaving a haunting mark on history. When a person ends up committing such a crime, it can often be a result of combination of deep psychological factors, such as a lack of empathy, trauma, or a need of control. People may also be driven by desperation, a desire for power, or the thrill of breaking rules. In some cases, individuals may dissociate from the severity of their action, which can lead them to justify their behavior.